What's going on, everyone? So Bleacher Report was doing their Western Conference rankings and listed the San Antonio Spurs as ninth in the Western Conference. Obviously, we're very early, right? We're still like 3 months away from training camp. A lot could happen. Spurs could go make some trades, and Giannis could come available, and they land Giannis. Other teams could make some moves and some trades, right? And maybe knock the Spurs down a notch, right? We'll see. There's a lot that can happen. So these are kind of early projections, but I think it's kind of interesting to talk about because it kind of gives where do people kind of view the Spurs right now, right? As it stands, no pun intended, right? Based on, what this team looks like, where are they ranked right now? And the teams that are behind them are the Memphis Grizzlies, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Sacramento Kings, the Phoenix Suns, the Portland Trailblazers, and the Utah Jazz. The only teams that I would argue maybe you could put in front of the Spurs is the Memphis Grizzlies, right? Like, how do they look? This is a team that wasn't, we're only like a year, well, I guess 2 years now, but it's because Ja missed a year. So 2 years removed from them being, one of the top seeds in the Western Conference. Obviously, look, life comes at you fast in the NBA. You go from one of the most promising young teams that looks like you might win an NBA championship in a year or two to like, hey, you might not even make the play-in, right? But I do think that Memphis is a team that you could argue. I'm not saying that they are, right? I'm not saying that they will be. I'm saying if you wanted to make that argument, I think you could make that argument, right? And they were kind of dealing with injuries, and they were a team that kind of went on a good run. It was just kind of too little too late type thing with Grizzlies, so just something to keep in mind. And then the Phoenix Suns, and I know people might be like, oh, Phoenix, Phoenix is terrible, Phoenix is trash. If they get rid of Bradley Beal, right, which they're expected to buy out Bradley Beal, depending on Jalen Green and, Devin Booker, there we go. I don't know why I blanked on that. Depending on how those two mesh, which they both kind of play the same position, which is a bit concerning. I don't know if they will be, but they'll be much better constructed, right? They actually got some interior size. They got some, nice complementary players, but they're very young too, right? They don't Devin Booker's the clear-cut best guy. So, I think depending on how it meshes, right? I know people are going to look at it. They lost Kevin Durant, right? They're going to lose Bradley Beal, but it didn't work, right? And now I just think that they're going to be a much better balanced team, right? But the problem is Devin Booker's got to do so much, right? Again, I'm not saying that they're better than the Spurs or they will be better than the Spurs, but I think Phoenix will probably be better than people are giving them credit for. It's just people are looking at it, through a looking glass of like, oh, well, they lost Kevin Durant, their best player, and they're going to lose, Bradley Beal for nothing. They're probably going to be terrible. But again, it's addition by subtraction, so to speak. Look, they might end up being god awful. I don't know, but I do think that their roster is just better constructed than it was previously, right? But Spurs being the ninth seed, okay, fine. I'm all for that. I don't really, I don't think that that's crazy, and that's something that's all I want, right? I just want the Spurs this year to move into, can you be a play-in team? Right? I'm not expecting them. I don't think anyone's expecting them to win the championship or anything like that. Can you just be a play-in team, maybe fall face first into the NBA finals or NBA playoffs, not NBA finals, NBA playoffs, right? If that happens, sure. But what are the other teams in front of them, right? So you got Thunder, Rockets. I'm just going off of last year's conference standings. Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, Timberwolves, right? And then you start getting into the Warriors, the Grizzlies, right? Sacramento, so on and so forth. Okay. I think for sure you're going to have the Thunder, the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Clippers, especially if they land Bradley Beal, they might be tough. Timberwolves, in the Lakers. No particular order, right? Just kind of where I think they'll rank. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Spurs are maybe the seventh best team in the Western Conference. The other thing is, too, you got to keep in mind, every year there's a team that expects to be good that isn't for one reason or another. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes they just get injury riddled, right? every year there's a team that many people believe are going to be really good and end up being a play-in team or something, right? And then every year there's that team that people think is going to be bad that ends up being really good. Now, I think the Spurs are probably the best candidates on the list of like people think, I mean, ninth isn't like terrible, but that like, aren't going to be great, but could end up stumbling into that 6-7 seed, right? Like, I don't know. I think that there is a genuine argument that after, like, again, the Thunder, the Rockets, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Clippers, and the Timberwolves, those 6 teams. I know some people might go the Warriors, right? You got Jimmy Butler, you got Steph Curry. They were so good together towards the end of the season. But, like, they didn't make any changes thus far. And, like, I don't think that they were as good as people tried to hype them up to be. One, and then two, right? Like, you still have Jimmy Butler has not been a model of health. Steph Curry has not been a model of health the last few years. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked. But okay, let's say you want to go with the Warriors. I think I think the Spurs, okay, are the 8th seed. Right now they're in that 7-8 spot. Got to win one game, make the playoffs. I think that could happen. Right? I would love to see like a Spurs Thunder first round matchup. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think that'd be something that could be kind of interesting and kind of fun. But you get the point, right? Like I don't think that they're going to be like a top 5 seed or something like that. Maybe, like I said, certain things, like I said, Warriors kind of have some issues, and then one of these other teams end up falling apart, right? One of these other teams end up, because like I said, every year there's a team or two that people think are going to be really good or that look really good on paper and aren't. Right? Do the Timberwolves, end up taking a step back, right? And end up, now they're a play-in team, right? And not just that, you got to keep in mind the Western Conference is so tight. Right? Like 3 through 7 was like decided by like a game and a half, right? So like, as long as the Spurs are kind of in the mix, again, you get the right tiebreakers, you go on a late run at the end of the season, right? Like you're a game back of like the 6th seed or 2 games back of the 6th seed and you win, 6 straight to end the season. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're the 6th seed, right? Like I wouldn't be shocked in that regard. I think it's interesting that they're kind of ranked 9th. I don't think that that's crazy. I'm not like, I don't look at it and go, oh man, that's so disrespectful to the Spurs. Like if they would have been like, oh, they're 11th or 12th, I probably would have been like, that's crazy. But they're basically projected to be a play-in team. I agree. I think that they are a bare minimum play-in team. But we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they, again, stumble into the playoffs. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. As always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on to you. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.